Duality defines our lives. Night and day, joy and sadness, wealth and poverty, health and sickness. But we are often not allowed to express this dual nature. We cover our sadness with shame. Poverty is brushed under the carpet. Health is king and sickness barely alluded to. Our duality is repressed, leading to stress and fatigue. And finally, an internal imbalance that erodes our life force and makes us ill. I was working overtime and taking evening classes on top of it. Anything to get ahead in my career. I was also a single mother, raising an 11-year-old son without seeing him grow up. I was exhausted, and one morning I collapsed unconscious in my living room. I am rushed to the hospital with a white-red blood cell ratio of 4, normally fatal. The doctor tells me I have AML, acute myeloid leukemia. In other words, cancer of the blood. My mind blanks. Cancer. At the age of 39. There's no way I can imagine what I am about to face. No way would I want to imagine it. My life hangs in the balance, and I escape out of time, trapped in the eye of a horrendous storm. I curl up like a baby, unable to know which way to go, unable to think. The only thing I'm sure of is that no one could possibly understand what I'm going through. How could they, since I myself can barely grasp what's going on? I feel utterly alone, an ineffable solitude, pure hell. When I ask the doctor what the next year will be like, he answers, a long walk through a desert storm. I'm told I have 3 days to get ready. 3 days to put my affairs in order, as we say. Just in case. 3 days to reorganize my life. A life that may have no future. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm afraid that people will see and treat me differently. I'm ashamed. I will have to undergo 3 waves of chemotherapy, and only afterwards will the doctors know if I can have a bone marrow transplant. They lock me up in a sterile room, a bubble room they call it, to avoid any chance of infection. My immune system is shot, and my life depends on this bubble room. But when the door closes, and I know that it will only open in 6 weeks, at best, I just want to give up. Already. The first chemo sessions make me constantly nauseous, like a never-ending hangover. I don't feel like a human being anymore, just a guinea pig. 6 long weeks. 1,000 hours. 60,000 minutes. And that damn door that might never open again. I'm all alone in this room, with only a sink, a chair with a hole in the middle for a toilet, and a bed, surrounded by so much medical equipment that I call it a Christmas tree. Except that the lights are cold and uninviting. The doctors and nurses come and go as they please. There's a porthole they can look through whenever they want, and study me like a lab rat. I feel like I've committed a heinous crime and this is my punishment. What did I ever do to deserve this? I just want them to leave me alone. I don't want to die like this. For me, the sense of shame and loss of dignity are the worst things about this illness. I actually asked for a screen to preserve some shred of dignity. How naive. Then I realized that if I want to beat this cancer, I have to take it one step at a time. I can't think too far ahead. It's just too much to handle. I can't take it anymore. I fight back. After 10 days, I find strength I never even knew I had. I'm a fighter, an adventurer. I know all about challenges. I'm used to confronting them and overcoming them. And I think about my son, my 11-year-old son who still needs his mother so much. And I decide that I will get out for spring break so I can spend the holidays with him. The holidays are both amazing and cruel. Every afternoon that I spend with my son, every time we manage to go for a walk and watch the boats on the lake, every time I try to help him with his homework, the whole time I feel an intense joy at sharing these moments with him. But the whole time I am terrified by what I stand to lose.
Their rapid pulse, but it's strong.
Another sip. Is it? What was your name, Holly, or? Here, take another
Phone up.
Ça va? It's okay?
That's good.
D'accord. Elle a dit quelque chose. Vous parlez. Elle est anglaise?
No, no,
She's
Finnish.
Finnish. She's
She's
from
Finnish,
Finland.
but she speaks
She
English.
speaks English.
Ok.
She's in my tent.
Ok, bon, on va la faire.
Is she in your tent?
Yeah, I don't get it why she's staying here because she's so good.
She cruised right by us about 10 minutes ago. We just
Yeah,
remarked
She's
about
going
how
strong
fast
and then she
she
just
but
drops.
she's fast. She just dropped.
She was walking very...
Elle courait, elle marchait?
Elle marchait super bien.
Ouais. D'un seul coup, elle est tombée?
D'un seul coup, elle est tombée.
Ok. Ouais.
Maria, pour 3 des voitures 7 à toi.
1 km avec un médecin dans la direction du CP2, quelqu'un tout seul.
Are you right? No, don't move. Okay?
I return to the bubble room without any intimacy, for a second wave of chemotherapy is horrendous. My hopes and convictions vanish into thin air, like New Year's resolutions when you sober up. My first stay in the hospital was just a warm-up. This second wave of treatments makes me truly doubt how much pain I can possibly endure. I've already lost my hair, and this time I lose a lot of weight. Soon I can't even recognize my own face in the mirror. I also suffer from terrible itching on my scalp, like hundreds of bee stings. Not to mention welts on my back filled with pus that make it impossible for me to lie down, and almost drive me crazy. And then, despite everything I have to endure in this bubble room, I still get an infection. An eye infection that makes my eyes hypersensitive and forces me to remain in pitch-black darkness for 10 days. The sense of solitude is inexplicable. I have nothing but the darkest thoughts. I just want to die. Or rather, death seems far more preferable to what I am going through. It might seem strange to think about giving up, since a patient doesn't really have a choice. I can't just stop. I have to keep going. And yet there is a choice. I can give up all hope. I can let myself die. Sometimes I just can't imagine getting any better, and I say to my doctor, please, I want to get out of here. I want to die with dignity. I can't take it anymore. Let me throw in the towel. At least that way, perhaps I will no longer be afraid of dying. What a relief. It'll all be over. I won't be afraid anymore. I want to lie on the beach, die in the sun, with dignity. But once again I refused to give up. I reached the limits of my endurance and thought I wouldn't make it through this dark night of the soul. But I was wrong. I stared death in the face, and death backed down first. My second release from the hospital is filled with hope and doubt. I've spent a total of 3 months in the bubble room, and I still have to return for a third wave of chemotherapy before I get a bone marrow transplant, and my life depends on it. But neither my brother nor my sister is a compatible donor, and in my case, a self-transplant isn't possible. The doctors managed to find me a donor, but he withdraws at the last moment. Everyone panics, but I managed to convince the doctors to let me leave for 3 days. 3 days by the sea. I'm terrified, of course. The weeks go by and I don't know if I'll live or die. It's faith that keeps me going. Faith. In times like these, the most cynical find faith in something, let me tell you. After 6 weeks, another donor is finally found. Yet I refuse the date given to me by the doctors for the transplant. A friend of mine versed in astrology and numerology calculated the ideal lunar dates for an operation, and they didn't square. At this point, accepting the wrong dates would make me feel like I was signing my death warrant. So I put my foot down, and the doctor finally gives in and reschedules. So this is what my fate is riding on. A small packet of blood given to me in pain. A gift from someone whom I don't know and who will never know me. An amazing gift that contains life, but that could also contain death, since there is a fair chance that my body will reject this foreign substance. After the transplant, I have to remain for yet another month in the bubble room before leaving the hospital, just to make sure that the transplant is successful. Weeks of migraine headaches, nausea and diarrhea. Weeks of doubt and solitude. I keep my family away. For the first time, the pain is so intense that I don't want them to see me anymore. The only person who comes to visit me is a friend who never fails to make me laugh. And it just feels so good to laugh. And then one day I realized that there is no more pain. I made it. It is often said that there are 2 ways to see life: the glass half empty or the glass half full. But they are just 2 sides of the same coin. The duality of life is only an illusion, since there can be no day without night, life without death. Only when you are fully conscious of your mortality are you truly alive, when you live entirely in the present moment. I still live in the shadow of my cancer. For me, the race is never quite over. Victory is never total. But I prefer to live only 10 years more and live them fully, rather than live 20 or 30 years with the fear of a relapse dictating my every choice. My name is Clara Klaar. I am 43 years old, and every birthday that I've celebrated since 40 has been a gift. Here in the desert, where I have come to relive my year with cancer and confront my demons, I wonder why all these people voluntarily choose to participate in such a grueling race, filled with so much doubt and suffering. And I realize that in some ways all of their answers, running for a cause, or for a loved one, or simply to know themselves better and gain a new perspective on life? All these answers amount to the same thing. The body is stressed, but the mind is free.
C'est pour jogging? C'est pour jogging? Non.
Vous m'avez fait pleurer là-bas. J'ai chialé comme une madame à cause dans les tubes. J'arrivais plus à avancer. Je vous aime.
Guitar.